As a creative person, one of the things I like most about creating is solving problems. I like being able to identify something that I want to do or make or see in the world and figuring out how I can actually make it happen. Whether it's art or coding or writing, being able to set a goal for myself with the end result that I want to achieve and then working out the pieces and the connections that I need to make that happen is extremely enjoyable for me. So with the recent implosion of NaNoWriMo, not that I've been taking part of it recently anyway, I decided to come up with a writing challenge for myself. I set it in October because spooky season and candy, and I based it around tarot because I'm obsessed with tarot, and one of my writing goals is to write a book around tarot. If you want to join the writing challenge, you can actually find information on it on my threads and my Instagram account, links below. And it got me thinking, I actually have a few other writing goals I want to achieve, sort of like personal writing challenges that I've set for myself. They have no real meaning other than it's just something I want to do. And since I'm using this channel as a means of accountability, I want to actually talk about some of my writing goals. So number one, of course, is the tarot novel. Whether it's the main character follows the fool's journey, or setting a novel in the world of the tarot deck. So most of the time I'm using the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. So being able to set a story in that world and you know, write about what those characters are like and how they got to their positions, or you know, their places in the cards, or you know, stories behind the events that are depicted. Ow. Yeah. So much hair. Where was that? Oh. You know, if it's a story about the world of the tarot deck and being able to see what those characters are like, you know, I don't know, in everyday life, or while they're at court, or you know, while they're interacting with each other, how they would interact with each other. One of the reasons I still haven't done this is because I haven't come up with a premise for the story yet, other than it's set in the world of tarot. Like, I need some kind of conflict for it, and I haven't come up with anything yet. But that's one of the things that I've wanted to do for a really long time. Years ago, I read this novel where the main character followed the fool's journey, and half the fun of the novel was just getting to the, figuring out, okay, what's going to happen that's going to reflect this chapter's card. And, you know, being able to finally identify it, me having that, you know, haha moment, I see it. It was fun. I'll link it down below. But with tarot, there are so many ways you could use it to inspire a book, which is why I used tarot to structure my writing challenge for myself for next month. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm trying to solidify some ideas so that I can start world building. But I have a deadline, so I can't really get too lost in it. It'd be great. So the next writing goal is actually a combination of two. I want to do them at the same time. I mean, really and truly, being who I am, there is a very good chance that I will try to do all of my writing goals in one book, because I'm just dumb that way. But that's neither here nor there. So the second goal is using both ring composition and literary alchemy to write a novel. Ring composition, or chiastic structure, I've made a video about this in the past. I don't know if it's still up, but it's like one of my favorite things. I don't know why I'm just so fascinated with it. But it's the idea of mirroring in a story, or a movie, or even just a phrase. So the first half is reflected back in the second half, but in reverse. So it's kind of like the end and the beginning, or the beginning and the end, and then chapter 2 and chapter, 39, if you have 40 chapters or something like that, I don't know. And it's a structure that's often used in the Bible and in other religious texts. It's also used in Harry Potter a lot, according to John Granger, who is the author who apparently studied Harry Potter and came up and, figured this out. I believe there was also a Tumblr post at some point. Somebody pointed out all of the mirroring in Harry Potter when it comes to different events. I'll try to put it up on the screen here somewhere. There's also Star Wars, apparently, has ring composition. You can find it in a lot of places. But it's something that I want to be able to do. I want to be able to write a novel using ring composition. I mean, in a perfect world, I would write every novel using ring composition, and it would be glorious, but let's not push it. I'm realizing that while it would be cool to be able to outline using a ring composition, it might be something that I need to do in the revision phase. Because one of the components of using ring composition is the theme itself. The second part of that is literary alchemy, which is another thing I learned about via John Granger, but it's also something that's been used in other works as well. Mostly older works, as far as I can tell. Or if there are any other modern works that uses it, no one talks about it, I guess? I don't know. But this idea of like following the alchemical process, but on a spiritual level or philosophical level, since the goal is to create the Philosopher's Stone, there are certain stages, and each stage is represented by color. But then there's also there's the three-part setup, or the 7-part setup. The 3 have colors. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4. It's alchemy, so of course there's a bunch of conflicting information, but it's a thing. It's a thing, I'd say. So it's something I want to do in my writing, and I want to use both of them together. Why do I need to use both of them together? I don't know. It seems like fun, and I feel like they both lend themselves to, I don't know, I want to say like a spiritual or philosophical leaning conversation with the reader, I guess. I don't know, it just makes sense to me. Whatever. Next one. So this next one is a little awkward. Basically, the goal is to write a novel that reads as if you're watching a Guy Ritchie movie. Guy Ritchie is one of my favorite directors. I like a lot of his movies. They're just fun to watch. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, Rock and Roller. The character interactions, the dialogue, how snappy it is, the angles and the cuts between shots. And then there's also, all of these different plot lines that seem totally unrelated, but then they start, coming together one by one. And then at the end, you got this, big ball of fuckery, and everybody's trying to figure out who they need to shoot and who shouldn't they shoot and who's gonna shoot them. And it's just great. I love it. The Gentleman, that was another good one. I love those movies, so I want to be able to translate them into novel form. Or not those movies, but my own story. It's just, I want to be able to write in a way that feels like I'm watching one of those movies. So, having the different plot lines that seem disconnected, but then, start piecing themselves together. That's something I've always loved reading, in novels. It's actually one of the reasons why, and I'm going to say this, and I don't care, I actually like Sarah J. Maas's books, the Throne of Glass series. I did read Court of Thorns and Roses, but I fucking hated Feyre, and I wish she'd... Didn't care for it. We'll leave it at that. And I read the first Crescent City book, and she did it in that book, and I was just like so hyped. One of the reasons why I like Sarah J. Maas's books is because I like the way she does her climax. You have like maybe 3 or 4 different characters that you're following around that's building up towards the final fight, and they each have their own shit they got to deal with. And you keep jumping back and figure, okay, shit, what's gonna happen with this one? And oh, what are they doing over there? And blah blah blah. And like somebody's watching what other people are doing, but they can't do shit about it. And it's just like you add attention. It's great. It's great shit. So I want to be able to do that. And Guy Ritchie is like the visual version of that in my head. And my last goal is probably the most ambitious one. I want to write a 7-book series. I want to do it. And I want, like, the first book to start off, you know, small-ish scale, and then as it continues, it just gets bigger and bigger in scale until we get to the point where we got a battle for all of the continent or something. Like, I just want to write a 7-book series. I just think it'd be fun. And of course, I'm going to use ring composition for it, and I'm going to use tarot for it, probably. And there are going to be a bunch of plot lines, so we're going to do things. See, I told you, at some point, I was just combining all these goals, because that's just how I am. So those are my writing goals. Am I going to achieve any of them? I don't know. I'm going to try, though. Like, that's kind of the purpose of this video. Even after all these years, those are the goals that still stick with me. Those are the things that I really, really want to do. So that's all I got for today. On that note, I'm Adana. This is my writing channel. And until next time, stay weird and keep writing. Bye.